All right. So you have a boyfriend who is from Spain. Okay. I have a girlfriend from Colombia. And when we talk, somehow we always wind up talking about relationships, love. I think we're both affectionate, caring people. So we kind of end up talking about those things. So I would like to talk to you about relationships and languages. So do you think that it is more interesting to date or to be in a relationship with somebody from a different culture rather than somebody from Portland who only speaks English?
Honestly, yes. Yeah. Because just from the fact that we are from different cultures, whether we grew up in a different country or just in a different household. So my partner's from a Spanish household and I'm from an American household. We grew up with different food, different experiences, different life teachings. That's the word. Different teachings in life, right? So I think that I can learn a lot from someone who's from a different culture. If I'm dating someone who's from the same culture as me, it's not that I can't learn from them, but I think there's less diversity of worldview,
Right.
of life experiences. So I definitely think that there's always something more to learn with someone who's from a different culture or a different country. If I was just dating someone from my city who has no cultural differences, we could relate in a lot of ways, but maybe it would get boring quickly.
Mhm.
Maybe because there's
Yeah.
always something to discover with
Mhm.
someone who has a different culture or a different language.
Mhm. Definitely. I agree. Maybe it's because we're also both adventurous people.
Yes.
I always want to be learning more and more. And I love just listening to my girlfriend in Spanish, just speaking so fast. It's just so beautiful to me. But that's part of my love for the language. So for me, that's a really great part of our relationship. And maybe for you as well. Like, for example, what if you met a guy from Britain who only spoke English, but it's a different culture?
Yeah, I don't know, to be honest. It would really depend on the person. I do think that, yeah, the language has a lot to do with it. Just because I have this love for Spanish and the Spanish speaking world, I have this bias, I think people who speak Spanish, it's beautiful, it's attractive. Not
Hmm.
that, British English or American English or whatever language isn't attractive. This is just a personal bias for me. So I could maybe have a relationship with a British person, but I would probably prefer, yes, I would definitely prefer to be with someone who speaks Spanish. This is just personal because I want my kids to speak Spanish. So
Definitely.
they're growing up in a Spanish speaking household. I'm gonna teach them Spanish. So I would love for my husband or partner to also speak Spanish.
Okay, understood. Uh, as far as relationships, your relationship with a partner from Spain, have there been any culture shocks between the two of you? Between things that maybe are okay for him, not for you, or the other way around, things that are normal for you and for him are a little bit weird?
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. So one of the things that we often, oh yeah, that's a good one. Okay, one thing that we often argue about is about schedules.
One
Okay,
second, please. I don't mean to interrupt you. Does he speak English?
he does.
Oh, he's gonna understand this. Okay,
Yes.
continue.
No, he totally knows. He totally knows. So one thing we often argue about are schedules. So I don't want to say all Spanish people, but I think so. There's a very strict time when you should eat, when you should sleep, when you should go out to a party. They have their days very planned out. And so you have breakfast at, I don't know, 8 a.m. And then you have a snack at 12. And then you have lunch at 2 or 3. And then you maybe take a nap. And then you have dinner at like 9 p.m. And he's very strict about that. He wants to follow his schedule, which I respect, okay? But I'm not so strict about it. I can eat lunch at 4 p.m. and I can eat lunch at 12 or 1 p.m. Actually, in the US, we probably eat lunch around 12 or 1. 3 is pretty late to eat lunch, and 9 is late to eat dinner. But because I'm here, I have adjusted my eating habits. However, he gets very frustrated with me if I don't, like if I eat too late and that affects him, he'll get frustrated about that. So if I'm like making lunch for us and it's ready at 4, he's like, it's too late. It's too late to eat lunch right now. And I'm like, dude, what's the difference? Like, what's the difference from 3 to 4? Just eat your food. But for him, it's very frustrating. So the schedule thing is a big difference, definitely.
Okay. Yeah, I think I've noticed that in the Latino American culture as well, more lax as far as, say we're going to meet up at noon. No big deal for you to show up at 12:25, maybe not you so much as having grown up in the United States, but yeah, okay, the party starts at 1. Okay, we'll be there at 1:30. No big deal.
Right. No, honestly, I follow that. I follow that time. Not because I do it intentionally. I just can't. Like, if it's a casual plan, I'll probably be half an hour late. Yes. My boyfriend now knows that. Spanish people are also known for having relaxed time. I don't think it's really that true, though. In a way, it is. But for my boyfriend, this is just his personality. He's punctual. I'm not. So he knows now to tell me. So if he makes a reservation, say at 3, he'll say, okay, be ready by 2:30. The reservation's at 2:30. So then we have, that half an hour just in case. So I'm not punctual at all. No.
That's masterful. I like this guy. Very, very good idea.
Yeah.
Okay. So maybe you could give me a little bit of feedback on this. So maybe it's a culture shock between my girlfriend and myself. We don't really argue about it, but it's something that she pointed out is that maybe I don't express my affection as much verbally as a Latino person might do. For example, she says, oh, if I was dating a Latino guy, they say all the time, oh, you're so beautiful, this, but express it verbally. For me, I express my affection with my actions more. Yeah. But she tells people that she has taught me, and so now I'm changing.
That's great.
Yeah.
We've talked about this before, the 5 love languages, right?
She read that book, by the way, and we both love it.
Good. So I'm glad you were able to learn something. So we understand that some cultures can teach us different ways of loving, right? So this is not an argument, but a disagreement that I've had with my boyfriend too. He has told me, but verbally, you are not really that good with words when it comes to expressing emotions and all of this stuff. So this is something I've had to work on too. I just think that in American culture, in the US culture, we are not taught emotional intelligence and how to express our emotions and how to express love. I think for us, maybe it's corny or uncomfortable. And so I have definitely had to improve this aspect as well. I could say the same thing. I'm definitely the person that will cook you a bomb meal, like a really delicious meal. And that can be my way of showing you love. I'm also physically affectionate. So maybe hugs and kisses and like just a lot of caressing. But when it comes to words, I just have some kind of block. Sometimes I don't know how to find a word to express how I'm feeling. So I've had the same struggle with my partner as well. when it comes to expressing verbally affection.
Mhm. Yeah, I agree that here in the US, we have an issue with the showing of affection. For example, with my family, my girlfriend thinks it's so weird. Like if me and my sister, we see each other, hey, what's up? How you been?
Yeah.
I don't give her a kiss on the cheek. We don't hug, you know. I have
Yeah.
hugged my sister in my life, obviously, but you know, in a Mexican household, it's hugs, kisses,
Yeah.
and that's a big difference. I think that is strange
Yeah.
for a person of Latino descent.
Yeah, that's a really big issue that I have too with my family, because half of my family is like white Americans, half of my family are Mexican Americans. So half of us are like hugging each other and so affectionate. But then with the other half, I'm like, I don't know what to do now. I feel uncomfortable. Will you think I'm weird if I like come and hug you? Like, they just don't understand, because culturally, we don't hug each other, we don't kiss each other. We often avoid talking about emotions.
Mhm.
So it can be uncomfortable to express love. Unfortunately, this is something that after spending time in Ecuador and in Spain, I really feel sad about when it comes to my family, because I wish that it was more comfortable and easier to show them how much I love them in a verbal way, in a very clear way.
Right.
But culturally, that would probably make them uncomfortable,
Hmm.
right?
Definitely.
So, yeah,
Yeah. Strange the differences in culture.
yeah.
So obviously you have a strong sense of culture from your Latina side. Do you feel any type of connection and culture with your white American side?
Sure, definitely. I mean, it's impossible to not feel that culture. I grew up in the US, and it's hard to define US culture or American culture, because really the US is a huge mix of all cultures from all over the world. And even white people are like, they have Irish descent, German descent, so many different cultures that along the way, some different traditions have been lost. So yes, I definitely feel a connection to my white American side, of course. I would say just in entertainment. Like when I think of my family, I think of entertainment, like movies. I think of like Jim Carrey and all of these humorists and comedians. So definitely I do have a connection to my white side. And I say that I like the sense of humor because it's nostalgic for me to think
Mhm.
of, like, the goofy uncle that like is just funny, making like dad jokes and stuff. That's what I think about, and of course I have a connection to that white side. Christmas, for example, like spending Christmas with my grandma and eating turkey, like roast turkey and roast ham and gravy. And same for Thanksgiving. Yes, I definitely feel that connection with them too.
Awesome. Okay. I asked because at times I feel a bit robbed of my culture. Like, I hardly even know what my ancestry is.
Yeah.
And I've always grown up, I'm American.
Yeah.
And what does that even mean? It means I live in the United States, but I don't have a deep cultural connection with my ancestors. We celebrate Thanksgiving, Christmas, but we don't celebrate, really Irish or Scottish things or German things. So I think that's something that really attracts me to foreign cultures and languages as well, a sense of connection and a sense of culture in my life.
Right. Even if it's not ancestrally your lineage, I
Mhm.
think it's a beautiful way to create your future family, you
Yeah,
know?
I see things that I would not normally be able to experience because I don't have those in my family.
Right. Definitely.
And as far as entertainment, absolutely. For anybody watching this who wants to learn English, the best, without doubt, I think you'll agree, the best movies, series in all of the world have to be Hollywood. Like, for example, Breaking Bad.
Uh-huh.
No novellas touch that.
Yeah. I mean, hey, it depends on the person, you know. I don't know. I love novellas. I love a good novella. And I love international cinema too. So even if it's Indian, if it's not Hollywood, I think we can both say that just watching movies in this culture, if you're learning American English, watch Hollywood or try to watch indie films too. And it's a great way to learn English. I will say though, we watched with my boyfriend, we watched The Mask with Jim Carrey last week. And I think it's from like the 80s, right? Or 90s. It must be.
Yeah,
And
early 90s.
sure. And I made him watch it in English and he was like, I don't really understand most of this because it's a lot of very colloquial American phrases. So work your way up to some of these films. Some of them are complicated or use subtitles.
Yeah. Jim Carrey is definitely a good source of content. The Cable Guy is also a hilarious movie.
Yes.
Okay, so this is the last question that I have for you.
Okay.
And it's a tricky one. I think it's a little difficult. You're going to have to think a little bit. If you had to live the rest of your life either only speaking English or only speaking Spanish, which would you choose?
Man, I hated you for asking this question. This is a hard one. Yeah. So I think honestly, I would choose each one for different reasons. Overall, I would choose Spanish because I think, as I said previously, it's a language in which I can express myself more. I can express more emotions and more daily events, you know, just things that happen every day. And yes, emotionally, I can express myself more, maybe express my desires more. So I would say that. And also, I have a love for exploring Spanish speaking countries. So to me, it's just fascinating, like all of the differences between every country in Latin America and in Spain. So there's a lot there for me to explore and learn. Because I grew up in the US, I kind of just assume that I know everything. I don't about English, I mean. I definitely don't. There's a whole world, an English speaking world, but I grew up in the US. It's not that interesting for me. So it's a bias. I understand that. I think the advantage to knowing English is that it's definitely the language of science and technology. And because it's so widely spoken, knowing English gives you a lot more job opportunities. But I'm not really worried. I guess, of course, I care about having a good job, but that's not the most important thing to me. The most important thing to me is the connections that I can make with other people. And I think being able to express myself emotionally is very important for that. And just the exploration that I can have in different Spanish speaking countries fascinates me.
Okay.
So overall, I would choose Spanish, but English obviously has its advantages.
Absolutely. My heart wants to choose Spanish, but I would have to choose English. Communicate with my son and my family, obviously. And my girlfriend is getting really good with her English, so we could keep working on that. But you've made some great points as well, why Spanish would be interesting. There's a whole world to explore that's not the world you grew up in.
Yeah.
Okay, so to wrap all this up, is there any type of advice, you being a person who has learned foreign languages and a person who teaches languages, is there any advice that you would give to somebody who wants to improve their English?
Yes, my first tip would be, as I said previously, to not let fear or shame hold you back from really getting out there and practicing. Also, investing, whether that be time, whether that be money, whether that be looking for someone to chat with in English, buying classes with a teacher, buying a book or finding a textbook. investing that time in studying and having a routine with studying, and just finding ways to connect with the culture. Talk to English speakers about their culture and learn through them, through those experiences. So those would be my tips. And also watch videos, watch Kyle's videos, watch, YouTube videos, or listen to music, or watch movies, consume media. Those are the tips that I would give.
Okay, great tips. You pretty much summed up what I would say. Consume, and make yourself a part of that culture, or rather make that culture a part of your life. And your brain will start to change. And before you know it, you'll be speaking.
Yes, great tips. I love it.
I enjoyed very much this conversation with you, Emma. It was awesome to catch up and get to chat with you in English. Very interesting. And thank you so much for being here and helping me out with this video.
You're welcome. It was nice speaking to you again too.
Okay. Y por todos ustedes, como siempre, muchísimas gracias por ver y nos vemos pronto.
Hasta luego.